I'm Evan Smith, the editor of Texas Monthly, and with me is Kinky Friedman, one of our writers at large, who has written a book called You Can Lead a Politician to Water, But You Can't Make Him Think, about his governor's race.
Hoo-yah!
You like that with no notes? I remember the name of the book. It's actually very good.
That is good.
It's a good book. Now, many of those pieces appeared in Texas Monthly.
Some of them.
Some of them did. I always think.
I always like to run a few.
A couple.
Yeah.
And, you know, we give you permission in
Evans,
retrospect. Actually.
Evan's a guy that got me actually writing. I've never written a column in my life. Well, I've written a few, but did not know my facility at this genre. As the columns they got better and better, our personal relationship deteriorated.
Worse and worse. We were barely speaking at the end, in fact.
Yes.
Do you remember the very first column that you did for us was the column about somehow it involved Fredericksburg, because it had that line that I made you cut at the end about how people in Fredericksburg tie their shoelaces.
Oh, they tie their shoes with little Nazis.
In little Nazis.
Yeah.
And I called you and said, I'm not actually sure we can publish this.
Did the line make it or not?
The line, I think, did not make it in the end.
Well, so we went through all this stuff, and you know, it's just not only made a better writer of me, it's made a better person.
Has it made a better man of you, Kinky?
Made a better man.
We're responsible for that?
Although I am exploring my sexuality, it has made a better man.
Wait till the camera's off before you.
Okay.
So let me ask you about the book first of all. So there are people who will say this race for governor was in the end all about a book. That you actually did not want to be governor, but you really just wanted to get a good book deal.
Anytime.
I've never believed that, but you know people have said that.
Anytime some interviewer opens with, there are people who say, that means it's bullshit.
Well, you know that I don't believe it.
No, and nobody else does either.
Yeah.
In fact, something has happened, you know, as Tiger Woods says, 90% is what you do next. 10% is what you did. However this managed to go, whatever I did next appeared to make a lot of people stop and think, at least to the point where they know I ran for all the right reasons, and they know that we got the wrong guy in office. We elected the wrong guy again.
Do you believe that, really?
Oh, totally.
Right.
What? That we got the wrong guy?
Well, I'm not asking.
Or that people think. Yeah.
Do you think? I'm not asking whether you think that, because I know you think.
I think
that.
I'm the hero of the common man.
I'm asking do the people of Texas now, a year later.
I'm Davy Crockett. Yeah,
you're Davy Crockett.
Yeah, I would say, especially when contrasted with Rick Perry, who is, you know, not a particularly bad person himself, but I mean, see, I'm delusional. I think that I'm the governor.
You still think?
I think I'm the governor, and of course Rick Perry thinks that he's a governor. So
one of you is right.
One of us is not necessarily. No.
Maybe you're both.
We could both be wrong.
Well, he's obviously the governor of 39% of the state. Maybe you're the governor of the rest.
Much less now.
You think so?
Sure.
Would he get 39% if he ran again today?
No, he wouldn't. And if I had run as a Democrat, that was my fundamental mistake. If I'd run as a Democrat, Perry would be where he should be, which is a lobbyist for a big insurance company or something like that.
Explain to me why you considered running as a Democrat and why you didn't.
Well, because I was already in bed with the Minnesota mafia. I mean, you know, already.
The independents.
Jesse and Dean Barkley and Bill Hillsman, and they had convinced me that human nature is the same all over the world, and if it works in Minnesota, it'll work in Texas. And the fact is, we're not in Minnesota, Toto. That's the fact. And it's not just same-day voter registration. It's a lot of things. Now, we were both in El Paso recently.
That's right.
I was on the street, and I run into a guy from Australia. And I said, well, tell me about this mandatory voting you have down there, because it's in my book. It's in You Can Lead a Politician to Water. Right. And Paul Burka said if everybody would have voted,
if it were required that everybody in Texas
voted, it'd be a landslide.
Governor
for Kinky.
Kinky.
Yeah, it wouldn't be close. It'd be a landslide. This guy says, not only do they have mandatory voting, in other words, you go to the polls, give them your name, they check you off. You don't have to vote. But if you don't do that, you get a ticket later. The result has been in the high 90s, vote at 97% like that, vote. And they have the elections over weekends, stretched over Saturday, Sunday.
Not a work day where people have to
That's
take
right.
off.
They try to maximize the vote. And in Texas, believe you me, the politicians are trying to suppress the vote so it equals their party rolls. In other words, if Perry knows he's at, you know, really 31.2% hardcore Republicans, he does not want to see 60 or 70 or 80% of the people voting, because he'll be out on his ass.
Now, do you believe that the people who don't vote or who didn't vote, let's say in this election in particular, didn't vote because they didn't see a candidate they supported? You know,
yeah.
There are people who will tell you that the field of four, and to remind people, it was Rick Perry, Carol Strayhorn, Chris Bell, and you. There are people who will say that this wasn't the most inspiring.
Here you go with there are people again.
Well, but come on, you know that. Am I saying something you haven't heard? That
No.
You're very weird.
You're saying exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. What I said was, had I run as a Democrat, right, Grandma would have killed Perry instead of me. Because she changed the whole dynamic. She made it look like the Four Stooges were running, and it was a mudslinging show. Instead of my candidacy without her would have been screw you to the whole system if you don't. And believe me, like a child told me recently, the parties should be renamed the Weasels and the Maggots. You know, most people really think that the politicians have dropped the ball totally on immigration and on health care, and all they're able to do is tell Kinky when he can smoke his cigar and where he can.
But if you had run as a Democrat, you would have been a weasel or a maggot.
Yes.
And that would have been okay?
Been a maggot, yeah.
You would have preferred to be a maggot.
Well, the point is, once you're in with an independent movement, once you're already rolling with it, you've got a campaign director and you've got a media guru, and you're believing what it's all a gamble, and nobody knows what's going to happen. And they're saying we can ignite a revolution here.
Right.
When I saw that it was 28% turnout, I knew that an independent can't win.
Can't happen.
No, it can't.
Right. Now, a lot of people who supported you by signing your petition to get on the ballot may not have voted, right?
Conceivable.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have. That was really the big thing that we did. First time in 150 years, an independent on the ballot. I remember talking to 5 pundits before, interviewing them, way before we got on the ballot. None of them thought
that you could get on.
That we would get on the ballot. None of them. We got on with 3.5 times the support we
needed.
In
fact, you got more signatures to get on the ballot than Carol Strayhorn got.
And we deserved more,
right?
A lot more.
Yeah.
Okay, because our campaign, I believe, will increasingly be seen as something that was significant. Hers was a vanity campaign for her own reasons with just a lot of cash. And that's fine, God bless her.
Yeah.
But she did change the dynamic totally when she got in, and I think that killed her.
If you had run as a maggot, let's just to continue this, would you have beaten Chris Bell in the primary?
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know if I would have beat him or not.
Yeah.
I can't answer that. But I would have had to go that way.
Yeah.
To abolish the death penalty in Texas. And I know it's considered very popular, but my theory is that it really isn't. That to whack somebody every 2 weeks and have George Bush say we've never killed an innocent man is not my idea of a Christian. And I would like, or a good Jew or a good Muslim for that matter, but the people who are Christian, look into your hearts, and I've got 2.5 years to get this dialogue going, and it should take you 2.5 seconds to realize that killing people is not our job.
Well, you know, the Supreme Court has been blocking executions.
Well, they're doing part way, yeah. What I'm talking about is if Massachusetts or California were to abolish the death penalty, it's meaningless. Everybody knows those are progressive states.
Texas does it.
If Texas did it,
right,
the entire world would stand up and cheer for Texas,
yeah,
and we would move to the head of the class in America, where we belong. It should be done. I've been to death row, and there's a sign that says, do the right thing over it. And you go in, it's mostly black. There's a few Hispanics, a few whiteys, one of which Max Sofar. I include that.
You have written about
story,
Max Sofar very
Max.
movingly in the magazine.
24 years now on death row.
Yeah.
And the fact is, these people all have one thing in common. They did not have Racehorse Haynes as their lawyer or Dick DeGuerin. They couldn't afford that. If they had, they would not be there, I promise you. So I'm not saying these guys are all innocent, or most of them are innocent. Let's have the balls to DNA death row. Okay, let's do that. If we're going to whack somebody every 2 weeks.
The DA in Dallas County has been reopening cases and doing DNA testing of everybody.
We're doing some partial things.
And so
Dallas
there's
is not the problem.
A little bit of progress.
It's not the problem. Yeah. Houston, Livingston, Harris County, that's the problem. There's
your problem.
Yeah, and the point is, Illinois did this, and they found 13 people who couldn't possibly have done the crime.
Right.
Now, at that point, the governor, who was a corrupt kind of guy anyway, Ryan, but he wasn't corrupt about this. He threw his hands up and he says, good Lord.
Right.
We got 13 people that have been decades on death row, and we're going to kill them. And
so you believe Rick Perry should today call a halt to executions?
I believe Rick Perry believes that eating fried chicken and saying a prayer is being a Christian. And I'm afraid that really being a Christian means more than that. And if you know that Texas is killing more people than all the rest of America put together, and that executing people like we're doing puts us in kinship with the sleaziest nations on earth, like Sudan and Iran and Burma and China and Cuba. That's who our brothers are in the world community. I really think, I believe that I would probably go down in flames with this. It's a long shot. I mean, if people know that I'm not just proposing a platform, I'm telling you, if I'm governor, when I'm governor, there will be no death penalty in the state. And I will use Teddy Roosevelt methods, I'll use Gandhi methods, whatever I have to use to abolish the death penalty in the state once and for all. Because I think if we're going to have it, we might as well wear little gold-plated hypodermic needles around our necks instead of crosses and stars of David. I mean, and this is our real chance to really, I mean, this spiritually is blocking Texas. And you travel the country, what other people think of Texas and America. This is what's holding us back.
When will you decide about the 2010 race?
Probably after I kill myself, after this interview is over. And,
not if I kill myself first, Kinky.
Well, suicide pact might be in order.
Yes. When will you?
It would probably heighten the viewership.
Yes. It couldn't lower it.
No.
Right.
When would I what?
When would you decide? When will you decide?
This is the first question you're asking.
When will you decide if you should run?
Some people say.
Right. Some people want to know, Kinky. When will you decide if you're going to run?
That's a Katie Couric question.
Yeah.
It would have to be by the summer
of next year.
This coming summer. Last summer. Yeah. But the fact is that the other candidates are going to be the usual suspects.
Well, it's going to be Kay Bailey.
Well, it's going to be, Kay Bailey would be a perfect match. I mean, bring on Kay.
Why?
Because the conventional wisdom is that, Kay Bailey, I think, is going to squash your average Democrat who's just a Democratic politico. But if there's if there's a crowded field in the Democratic primary, and if I've been able to make my case against capital punishment for Texas, you will see not just independents, you'll see Republicans, Christians, other people, because there's a lot of people who feel the way I do. In fact, the majority in Texas feel that way, crossing over to make a statement here in the Democratic primary. If that were to happen, not to mention that the other candidates would split the base of the Democrats.
Right.
Not to mention that I believe that Bill Clinton's going to be in the White House by that time. And also,
so you'd have the First Lady down here campaigning for
you? I'd have Bill down here campaigning. This is what we work on, Bill.
First husband.
First husband down here campaigning. I guarantee that. And I think we could energize the national party in a big way, because just look at it this way. Say you're a Washington bigwig. You have a chance to win the Democratic, you have a chance to win in Texas, put a Democratic governor in, but you also have a chance to abolish the death penalty in Texas.
Yep.
I mean, I'm telling you, the world would be pulling for Texas.
Is Hillary Clinton against the death penalty, Kinky?
I'm not sure if she is or not. She might have triangulated some answer. I know I am. I'm against it.
Who are you supporting in the presidential ballot?
Hillary.
You are supporting Hillary?
Yeah.
No hesitation.
No, it's the only thing Ted Turner and I ever agreed upon, and that is that the men have so completely screwed up this country and this world that I want to give the women a chance to see if they can screw it up any worse than we
Just
have.
not Kay Bailey.
Kay Bailey's a nice person. But she kind of showed her colors during that immigration thing. The immigration deal was one of the purest looks at these politicians. And you see, and I want to talk about cigars in a second, because that's the only thing these guys can legislate. They couldn't legislate immigration. Kay Bailey actually made an amendment to this horrible bill that failed, of course. And the amendment was that we would round up the 11 million illegals, send them to their country of origin. There they would get their wrist stamped or be certified. Then they can come back to America.
Now, the most important subject we have to talk about before we wrap here is cigars.
That's right, and I have a presentation to make to you.
Oh, you do? Okay.
No, I'm kidding. No, I have a presentation to make to you.
Not the first time you've given me the finger, Kinky.
This is the Texas Jew Boy. This is Kinky Friedman Cigars, KFC. All right. We are
because the other KFC is doing so well.
Well, we're anticipating a possible lawsuit. If it comes, believe me,
you'll take the publicity.
No, our law firm, our attorneys are ready. We are with the firm of Goldberg, Schwartz, and Deal Killer. And so what I'm saying, we have five.
That's a new joke. I haven't heard a new joke from you in years.
We have five. We have 5 kinds of cigars. They're all made in Honduras by Cubans, And that is the governor, the Kinky Christo, the Texas Jew boy, which I've given Evan, the Willie, which has a little twist on one end of it, and a little cute red shaggy head on the other, and then the Utopian, which is the only cigar in America that benefits animal rescue.
So all the proceeds of sales of the Utopian go to the Utopia
Animal Rescue Ranch.
Animal Rescue Ranch, which is a big cause of yours.
Yes, and I keep forgetting about animals too. On this death row thing, on abolishing the death penalty, that means we're not going to kill. We're going